So the man of the hour today is Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook used to be one of the best point guards in the NBA. He was very explosive and great at playmaking, and of course had the elite athleticism. But today's Westbrook looked like a shell of his former self. Just this last season, Westbrook averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Of course, not a bad stat line at all, but he had a lot of terrible moments this last season. But let's not look at that right now. Let's look at where the fall-off began to happen. So I'm going to look at his 18 to 19 season, right before the fall-off. So during the 18 to 19 season, Russell Westbrook averaged 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. And with those 10 assists, he led the league in assists. What an amazing season for Westbrook, but let's look at his playoffs. In the 2019 playoffs, Russell Westbrook averaged 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. But unfortunately for OKC and Westbrook, they got eliminated in the first round. So that puts an end to Westbrook's season. Still was a pretty good year for Westbrook. But now let's move on to his offseason. In the offseason, Russell Westbrook got traded to the Houston Rockets. The trade included Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul. With the Thunder getting Chris Paul and the Rockets getting Russell Westbrook. The Thunder also got a couple of picks. But now let's move to the regular season. This is where we get to see the pairing of Russell Westbrook and James Harden. In the 19 to 20 season, Russell Westbrook averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. Seems like a pretty great season for Westbrook, but things was bad in the playoffs. I mean, just look at how they was guarding Westbrook. Not covering him at all from the three. Just disrespectful defense. But let's look at his stats during the playoffs. In the playoffs, Russell Westbrook averaged 17 points, 4 assists, and 7 rebounds. Not really a great playoff performance from Westbrook. He also had shooting splits of 42, 24, and 53. It was a horrible playoff for Russell Westbrook. The man could not buy a bucket during the bubble, and really didn't seem like his former self. But now we move on to the next season. So in the offseason, Russell Westbrook was traded again. He was traded to the Washington Wizards for John Wall. And now there's a pairing of Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. So for this season, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. Talk about this season month by month and then talk about the playoffs. In the 4-game span over December, Russell Westbrook averaged 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists. But he also averaged 5 turnovers per game. Still a pretty good month, but the turnovers are definitely a problem. But let's move past that and go to the next month. That next month being January. In January, Russell Westbrook averaged 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. For only 4 turnovers this month, a bit of an improvement. But now let's move to February. In February, Russell Westbrook averaged 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. But he had shooting splits of 43, 15, and 55. And he averaged close to 5 turnovers that month. Not so great for Westbrook. But if you just look at the numbers, they look pretty good. But let's move on to the next month. In March, Russell Westbrook averaged 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 12 assists, with 44, 38, and 63 shooting splits. Definitely one of his best months up to this point. Now let's look at April for Westbrook. In April, Westbrook averaged 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists, with 44, 26, and 68 shooting splits. Now let's move on to Westbrook's absolute best month during this season. In May, when he had to step it up the most. In May, Westbrook averaged 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 16 assists. And this month, Westbrook only averaged 3.9 turnovers. Definitely a huge step up. Then he had shooting splits of 45, 34, and 76. The month of May was just great for Westbrook. But now let's look at what he did in the play-in. In the play-in, Russell Westbrook was able to will his team to victory and be able to make the playoffs. In the playoffs, he went against the 76ers. In the playoffs against the 76ers, Russell Westbrook averaged 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists. But of course, that wasn't enough, and the Wizards losing 5. And now we move to the offseason once more. In the offseason, Westbrook is a part of another blockbuster trade. In this trade, he gets sent to the Lakers, which means now he's teaming up with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. On paper, this team looks pretty good, but Westbrook could not fit in this system. Like I said earlier in this video, Westbrook averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists, and had a shooting percentage of 51.2. And like I also said, there was a lot of downs from Westbrook this season. From hitting the top of the backboard, stupid turnovers, stupid attempts on defense, even plays on defense where he wasn't even trying. Westbrook just looked bad this whole season. But now he's coming into his second year with the Lakers, and I see him improving a little bit. I see him being able to fit more in his role with time. But right now, Westbrook has fallen off. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. For a guy who relies on his athleticism a lot, of course he's going to fall off a little bit quicker. But that's all I got for this video. I know this was on the shorter end, but I just wanted to get a back-to-back video out. With that being said, I'm out.